Alright, everybody, our first game of the day is now starting up, ZOTAC Cup Monthly Final, and well, currently we're looking at Blackheart Spade, still a best of one. We're currently in the round of 8, which is a best of one. And yeah, Zul is immediately being banned out by Epsilon Esports. They don't really want to play this here. And they are going up against Team Meh. Personally, I love the nickname, I have to say. It's like one of the best team names that we had in quite some time. So, how strong are these guys? Well, a little bit meh. Yeah, ETF on top and a few of the other guys that you know from teams like Bubble Squad are playing on the team. So it's not like a it's a newly formed team, but it's not a team that just came out of nowhere and has no players with experience on it. So yeah, we're gonna have a closer look of what exactly is going on here. May first of all have to ban a hero. Now keep in mind when we're talking Blackheart's Bay, one of the important things to note is that this is of course a map where you first of all you want to have a strong laner at the bottom. So Zagara is probably going to make an early appearance in the draft, and also any kind of like melee assassin type or bruiser hero that is able to take camps on his own is very strong on the map, since this is one of those maps where you always try to play around the opponent. Like you can team fight, but you don't really have to. If you play around the opponent with the objectives and also the boss, for example, on the map, then you don't even have to engage into any battles. And there is Li Ming, already chosen for Epsilon Esports. Now, of course, when we're talking about Katowice, we had some very interesting drafts, especially on the first day, and a lot of the teams just said straight out afterwards, guys, there is no meta anymore. Like, we don't understand what's going on at this point. But still a few of the heroes that are very highly regarded or prioritized by the teams, also in this case, would, for example, be a Zagara, also a Rhaegar. Thrall, as taken here, is also a very early pick, usually. But especially when it comes to the healer setup, Rhaegar is probably still one of the best choices for you. He's not as much of a priority anymore as he was before, so he's not the immediate first pick or first ban, but he's still one of the best healers that you can get in this setup, and therefore I would expect that Rhaegar is going to be picked up by one of the teams. And with the Thrall here already taken, I mean, May could really try and also like, yep, there he is, could go into the second orc, and we have now Rhaegar plus Thrall. So Rhaegar's build has changed a little bit. It's more of a focus on Totem on 1 and on level 16. You can on 4 go into the healing ward if you want to. So you have actually a couple of choices of what to do. And, well, for Epsilon, they have secured quite a bit of damage already. For them, they can now try and lock down already some of the frontliners. Because the problem that they're going to face right now, if they don't pick a tank, is that with a ban on Muradin and the next ban phase coming in after their double pick, plus May picking their own hero, they need to go into a tank. And that's exactly what they do. They go for an ETC, so they have already the threat of a mosh pit that they can use here together with a Li Ming that is, of course, just waiting for the resets. One of the things that we could see here now as well is, of course, as a healer, even Uther. I mean, when it comes to like healers overall, it's still like Charism that is highly regarded as one of the top healers in the European scene if Rhaegar is already taken. But Uther with the Divine Shield is always strong if you go Divine Shield, Mosh Pit, and also, of course, a bit dependent on what else you're going to draft here. What would fit that setup as well is, for example, a Sonya's. They could go into a Sonya's, also a bit of a counterplay to Thrall himself. We actually see that quite a lot. So that's one of the options that they have in this setup. Couple of other heroes that are oftentimes being taken here is also, for example, Falstad. Now, Falstad is another hero that, with the global mobility that he has, can really decide a game on this map. My Insanity has actually showcased that in Katowice already, where especially Hazobs was incredibly mobile with his Falstad on the map, used Mighty Gust to just always disengage the opponent's team once that they tried to collapse on his teammates. So that was probably one of the most impressive Falstad play that we've seen over there. And it's one of the things that we can definitely expect in this setup here as well. So I would be surprised if Falstad isn't taken. The only question is how early. And as I predicted, there's the Sonya. So Sonya as a counterplay to Thrall, as an addition to EDC, that works. But still, for me personally, the question, first of all, what kind of heal do we see on the side of Epsilon? I'd say either Charism or Uther is going to be picked for them. And what happens to Falstad? Is he going to be banned, or will one of the teams pick him up? May, for example, they have already a frontrunner. They have Thrall here, but they could still go into that Falstad play. They need some range damage. And when we're talking about that, a Falstad comes to mind. There's also the Jaina, which was actually a bit underplayed in the Katowice, if you think about it, at the regional finals here. Zagara has still not been picked either, so that's another hero that you can lane at the front lane. And there is that ban on Charism, more or less forcing Epsilon Esports now into an Uther, I'd say. Question for me personally is, what exactly is Epsilon going to ban out? I think that banning out a Falstad would probably be quite nice. if I was Meh and, well, Falset isn't banned now, I would definitely take the hero right away. And there's the ban, as expected. So that makes a whole lot of sense. So going into the false stat ban, Meh now, on the other hand, they could go into Zagara if they wanted to, but they already have someone who can bully the bot lane a little bit in the form of Thrall. So they have still the option to go for Zagara, but they don't necessarily have to. They have to realize, though, that if Epsilon takes Zagara, then more into Mosh Pit, maybe with that Divine Shield and Uther, would be a very big threat to them. So that's one of the questions that they have to answer here. Another potential play on their part is also a Tassadar. They could play a Tassadar together with a Rhaegar, and there it is, I like it, to put a heavy focus and emphasis on Thrall and make sure that he is heavily protected. Now what Mei of course needs is a frontliner, and they also need range damage, and that's where we are now really going to maybe even see some of those changes with the recent patch coming into play. Vala, for example, was changed quite a bit. Question of course is, how much experience do the teams have at this point with Vala? Are they willing to risk a hero that has now a bit more damage on it? And Greymane is, of course, another great pick here. Actually, at this point, I feel a little bit silly because I even forgot about Greymane. I was quite excited that my girl got a couple of changes. The multi-shot build on Vala not as strong as before, but Greymane, therefore, of course, makes perfect sense here. Was actually like one of the heroes that Epsilon could have banned out if they decided to not go for a false set ban here. But still, Epsilon here, I would say, as a healer, Uther would still make the most sense for them. I would like that a lot. I mean, you could play with the Tyrande, but they actually do. But the problem with the Tyrande is that even with an ETC who can go prog rock on groupies, I feel that Tyrande is going to have a bit of a tough time with the heals here. But in the early game, they should be able to dominate, of course, with Tyrande, thanks to the stun into stun combo that they run here. Only question is, what are they going to add to this? I mean, in theory, could they potentially go for a double heal? If so, then what would that be? I actually wouldn't really like the synergy. Maybe with like the Tassadar could have been a thing, but right now range damage is probably something that they're still going to add. And when it comes to the range damage, there's still that Jaina, which we haven't really seen a whole lot, so you could go for that. We have also that Zagara that I've mentioned earlier, and Zagara is actually taken here, so she's going to be the bot laner. You could have put Sonya into that spot, I suppose, but Zagara makes sense here, and I like that. Personally, I would have thought that they go for Uther. Uther with a Divine Shield for the Mosh Pit, and also Sonya would have been something that I would have liked a bit more. It's not as aggressive in the early game as Tyrande, but Tyrande will have a tough time in the late game to heal out the damage that we are going to see from heroes like Thrall and Greymane. I mean, Greymane's cocktail build got nerfed a bit in the last patch, of course, so it's not as powerful anymore when it comes to the area poke, but it's still a very strong hero that can dish out a lot of damage. And there's the Vala. I'm liking it. And guys, if that Vala is actually serious, then, well, I said I'm liking it, and then I realized that they don't have a tank. So either that is a draft mistake, and if that's the case, then we're going to see that in the game in just a second, or they really play without a tank and run only that Thrall, since he has a double support behind him. I mean, in theory, I guess that's possible, and you can play that, but it's still a bit of a surprise to see Vala chosen here as the last hero. I like the choice of Vala, as in, I like to see her again with new changes now, where she can focus more on an auto-attack build. But I'm still a little bit surprised that they don't go for a dedicated tank. So at this point, I don't really know if that was a draft mistake or if that's actually something that they intend to play. But I suppose we're going to find out now. ZOTAC Cup round of 8 is starting here. We are currently at the ZOTAC Cup Monthly Final, of course. And let's see which team is going to take it here. Epsilon Esports or Meh. Welcome everybody to game number 1, actually the only game between Team Epsilon and Meh here at the ZOTAC Cup Monthly Final. We are in our round of 8 right now, and to the left side we have a Stalk playing on ETC. We have Sphyxy on Li Ming, Unstable on Tyrande, Andilendi on Zagara, and Styr on Sonya. And guys, I can't believe it. I think Blizzard fixed the color bug at the start of every custom game. Amazing. I love the new patch already. To the right side of the map, this time really the team in red. It is Hydra on Greymane, IK side on Tassadar for Team Meh, ETF on top on Thrall, Curson playing Rhaegar, and Lumpy on Vala. So more or less a lot of the old Bubble squad is playing here. And I can't tell you how excited I am that Blizzard actually fixed the colors in the team overview at the beginning of the custom game. That bug has been in there for like 8 months at least, I think even longer than that, and it was always annoying. Like, you have no idea how many YouTube comments I got where people were like, Khaldor, why do you always screw up the colors? I'm like, I can't do anything against it. It's like that in the client. So yeah, and finally they fixed it. I'm loving it. So that new patch is already for me a little personal highlight here. But well, the new patch, of course, already influencing heroes like in this case Vala. We are currently seeing the cost-effective materials. Now that's something that I didn't expect here. At the bot lane, Thrall is getting destroyed. The so-to-say tank on the side of Team Meh. Keep in mind that the setup that we're actually seeing here, if you looked at those heroes and you were thinking, well, something's missing, but I can't put my finger on it, then it's a tank. They don't have a tank. They play with Thrall as their only frontliner. They have a double support trying to keep him alive, but that's going to be a very aggressive setup, of course, that they're going to run here. It's also interesting to see that Lumpy either made a bit of a misclick on his level 1 talent, or he actually just wants to have the mana cost reduction. Considering that they have 2 supports, that could be the case. Normally you would of course go for the siphoning arrow on level 1 and then go for the puncturing arrow if you really want to play an arrow build. If you go for this particular talent though, then of course you can spam the arrow out 6 days to Sundays, since you are going to have that mana. And mana is sometimes with an arrow build a bit of an issue. So already a bit of a poke here from a distance. As mentioned before, we have also patch changes on Greymane. Mostly he's doing a bit more damage on his auto attack, but he also lost some area of effect damage on his cocktail, which is going to make that easier. Sphyxy is going to try and take down that tower, but as you can already tell, by now Li Ming actually does only like half the damage with the missiles against towers. So it's going to be a lot harder for Li Ming's in the early stage of the game to destroy structures and therefore get a lead. It's still of course possible to poke from a distance, but you can say that it's not as effective as it was in the past anymore. And that was this was very much a needed change. I mean, we really needed that. Sonya already with a bit of a different play here, going straight for the Mercenary Lord, which will make it a bit easier for her to get all these camps as well. So in this case, it's not only about like having the Mercenary Lord to like push lanes harder, but at the same time, it's also a very important talent if you want to make sure that you can easily just like take all of these camps. And as mentioned before, if you play on Blackheart's Bay, then of course one of the main ideas is that you get a lot of the coins to take the camps, you turn in, and you have just like constant pressure against your opponent. It's one of the few maps where you can actually play around an opponent and don't really have to fight him. Once again, jump on Andilendi at the bot lane. Zagara in a bit of trouble, gets away though. ETF at top, and Hydra, who's subbing in here today apparently, they jump in. Up to the top lane, still that combo with Tyrande currently at work, and that's of course one of those things that is going to be very, very important. If you can try to go for the Tyrande lockdown, then you can do a lot of damage here, and that's something that Unstable and his boys are of course banking their hopes on right now. They don't really have a big support like Uther, which would have been an alternative in the draft. They decided instead to go for Tyrande, which has a bit of a harder time getting the heal in later on against all the potential poke, but the cool thing about her is that she just gives you an opportunity to be super aggressively on the stage of the game. So you are in a position where you can get that lockdown against target, and of course you can also cancel channels in the middle thanks to Empower and also Pierce. So the cooldown reduction is definitely going to be there. We're also seeing Dominance now taken for a bit of hit point regeneration and power hungry. So no proc rock on Stalk, but with Dominance at least another tool for Li Ming in this case to get hit points back, all catering to the need of some kind of self-sustain on these heroes. Sonya most likely on level 7 will go into the ferocious healing, is of course one of the most taken talent, or most common talents in the hero, but it will help Tyrande to keep everybody alive here. Rapid incubation as well now for Zagara, and the chests appearing on the map again with Stalk trying to take a few. He's on 9 coins right now. Overall 10 coins against 9. Up to the top, still a bit of a fight happening there. Experience soak is of course important, but a lot of the structures have already been taken down by the blue team, which gives them a slight lead. Styr needs to be careful. Unstable is moving in, but down here we have a bit of a fight happening, or could potentially have one, with Stalk and Hydra. Kirsten is starting to make his way over as well. Nobody realized that ETC is there. Now suddenly Stalk seems to be in a bit of trouble here. They could go into the lockdown attempt. Goes in. Here comes the second stun, but he needs to get away. And Stalk, overstaying his welcome, and he is down. That's 9 coins and Curson says thank you very much, jumps in, gets the kill, and 9 coins, of course, now also delivered. Andy Landy trying to push them back, and they might kill Hydra, they will kill Hydra, but the coins are, well, that was actually close. Oh, Curson! That was a little bit too close for comfort here, but he gets away, and of course that's still a pretty bad exchange for Epsilon Esports. I mean, right now they lost 6 coins, so to say. They lost 9 and gained 3. We're having a repeating arrow taken and the puncturing arrow. So really apparently like a conscious decision to go into the cost-effective materials just to spam those out the entire time. We also have, in terms of builds, still Greymane with a full cocktail build. No big surprises here. Seeker has been taken as well, and we're seeing the Lunar Blaze on level 7. Theoretically, we could have gone into battle momentum. That didn't work out for Andy Landy here. Those Banelings were not happy. Barreling right into the corner here, not hitting the tower at all. But by now we have level 9 closing in on level 10. So currently Sphyxy has to soak 2 lanes. See, the entire setup that we are seeing is currently designed to dominate the bottom part of the map. Sonya is roaming around on the map, just getting a bit of lane pressure in thanks to those extra minions. Zagara with a vision, ETF in trouble, and he's down. Thrall taken apart, Hydra pushed back. That's a lot of pressure that we currently see from Epsilon Esports. And of course on Blackheart's Bay, a map that heavily hinges on your success with the objective, taking down structures is going to give you a fantastic lead. We had a bit of a nerf going on the side of Wrath of the Berserker. The cooldown has been increased to 60 seconds, but it's still a very, very powerful talent. And actually, it seems a bit like we're going to see a bit of a wraparound here, or at least a camp taken. Stork, Stern, Unstable were starting to move in. We're apparently expecting someone to be at the Siege Giant camp. So the rotation is still designed to take heroes down and also control the flow of the game a little bit. One of the big changes as well is that we have now in the case of Vada a different heroic ability taken. So no more Strafe, but instead it's the Rain of Vengeance. And boys, that thing does damage now. That thing does some serious damage. If you get a complete wave off, like that hurts a lot. So we're going to see that a little bit more often in the future, I suppose, not only in this game. But for now, we still have Epsilon Esports pushing all lanes. They're doing an exceptional job, by the way, controlling the middle of the map, controlling the objective. They have the vision thanks to Zagara, and they're just like moving over the entire time. AK side already is starting to like move in again. Here comes the attempted turn, and Curson has 25 coins by now. That's a rich Rhaegar right there, all the dirty esports money, and he's trying to get rid of it. Stork, is he gonna go for it? Here comes the interrupt. Everybody else is collapsing towards Blackhearts, but Li Ming is not there yet. They have to wait for it, and Stork is eating a lot of damage here. The poke from a distance is definitely real. Shadow Stork being used. Curson still with the attempted turn in, and Stork tries to look for the mosh pit. Can't get it just yet, has to move away, and even the force wall being used right now. Here comes the Sundering on the other hand. Stork try to go for the mosh pit, but no chance just yet. Chests are appearing once again, the Maw against Thrall. And keep in mind, we still don't have a tank on the side of Team Meh. They are currently completing the turn-in. Chests are on the map, and in this case, we're having an even trade up to the top lane. Chests are being taken at the bottom of the map. We're seeing them for Team Meh. But still, the bottom line here is that we have now slowly and steadily Team Meh coming back into this game. Not really coming back. It's not like they lost a ton of heroes or anything. It's 3 kills against 2. But you know what I mean. They're really starting to make a bit of a play here. They're starting to turn in, and they're just like making sure that Epsilon is not completely running the show here. And at the bot lane, with another camp now being taken, they're also looking pretty strong. Once again, it's all about the coins that we have on Curson in particular with his Rhaegar, but Hydra has accumulated 4 as well. So on this map, it's all about the control right now. You're trying to control the lanes, you're trying to, of course, get some vision in as well. And you need to make sure that somehow you have a chance. Oh, nice dodge by Hydra. Great jukes here, actually. And the heal just to be on the safe side. Don't really blame Curson too much for this one. I mean, obviously, in a fight, you would have liked to just, like, delay your Ancestry Link for as long as you can. 100-second cooldown is nothing to joke around with. But in this case, it was really one of those moments where death on Greymane would also have given 4 coins over to Epsilon Esports, so it's understandable that he makes that decision here. But still, it's 9 coins against 29 right now, so as long as the red team is able to get a couple of turn-ins, they should be able to really get ahead in experience here as well. We're having now Illusionist taken for Li Ming. So no glass cannon for her. Doesn't try to overdo it here with only Tyrande around and no panic button with a Divine Shield and Ancestral Healing or a Palm. That's a very good choice to make. Vala decided to go into the Spell Shield, which is very understandable considering that they are up against Li Ming here. And Thrall has done the same thing. He's the only frontliner. Therefore he's going for the survivability. But once again, here's the Sun Ring. They're trying to go for Styr. And nice, the Mosh Pit. But a great Rain of Vengeance is dropping Styr. That's 8 more coins that they get. Unstable is being chased now as well. Hydra is trying to move in. Nice cocktail, but Tyrande is still alive. Great stun on the other hand, the double stun. And look at all those coins, the esports money, yes! Oh my god, Sphinxie. Yeah, she's a girl, she likes the bling bling. Here comes Li Ming and coins everywhere and team wipe, and they are rich. Time to buy that Ferrari finally. 39 coins now on the side of Epsilon Esports. Money, 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 and more money. That's all that they need right now. Stork is turning in the final 2. He has 27. And there's even one. Like, they have so much money, they don't even need that. That's basically like the tip that they gave the opponent. But in this case, Team Meh, with a bit of a meh performance in that last fight. They actually were really running the show here with the coins, at least, so they had a chance to get far, far ahead, but right now they lost nearly everything that they had, and that is, of course, a major issue for them right now. They somehow have to make sure that they now control the middle of the map and, yeah, control Blackhearts, because if they don't, then it's just going to be an endless, like, barrage after barrage after barrage against their structures, and they are already starting to lose the last fort at the bot lane, so that's going to start threatening the keeps immediately. Over there, down to the bottom. We have a level 60 now, of course, also a pretty decent power spike on the side of Epsilon Esports. So they have to be careful. Yeah, Stork is actually very far out considering that he is very much, well, the only holder of like 29 points, nearly all the money that they have in the bank. But with Ranger now taken with the Nerves of Steel, it's a pretty big power spike that Epsilon has, and denying a turn-in at this point is nearly impossible, especially if Lumpy dies. And yeah, good reset here also for Sphinxie. Once again, can use his cooldowns here if need be. Stork gets an easy turn in. I mean, you can't contest that at this point. You're already down 2 levels, you're down in talent, and with that level 16 talent, Stork has imposing presence on 16. They're also running now the Mirror Ball. They're having them also with now Brood Expansion after Mutalisk, so there's very little chance and opportunity to really deny a turn in to the opponent. So they can't really do anything about that, and that will result in structures in the mid lane taking damage. But also the pressure at the bot lane is now starting up once again. And that's this time with Sonya being in play. And look at those 4 Siege Giants with, of course, the Mercenary Lord's buff. That is insane right now. These guys do so much damage, and that is threatening Key very heavily at that, by the way. So they could start to jump in here. They have the level 16 talent. They are trying to run that advantage as much as they can. Here comes the Rain of Vengeance. Is at least dropping the Mercenary Lords. That's important. Drops the Siege Giants, which was an important part. They would have taken down that keep eventually. But ETF on top, up at the front line, very much alone, is trying to lock someone down, but that didn't really work. So when it comes to damage, they're of course not lacking that in the slightest. Their problem is really the survivability at this point. 3 kills already against Thrall, who's the only frontliner. 35,000 damage, by the way, on the side of Vala. Compare that to the damage output that we're seeing on the side of Epsilon Esports. They're currently looking at 30,000 for Zagara. Another completed turn-in is heavily pressuring the mid lane. This will annihilate the first keep and then also start to attack the structures up here at the top. So the barrage starts in the middle and always goes up to the top and then to the bottom, starting of course with the forts and then moving over to the keeps. We're seeing lanes being de-pushed, and right now the only thing that Epsilon Esports has to do is play it safe. Play it safe and sound. They still have a huge amount of coins here that they can use. They won't get an entire turn in, but as long as they get rid of those, they will get very close to another one. But it's level 16 versus level 16, so at this point Team Meh is in a position where they know, okay, we fight now or never. And they can force these fights with Curson and the Totem going straight for his level 16, the Earth Grasp. That's going to be important. Tempest Fury, Tumble being used as well. And now, with Tumble being used, that puts a bit of an interesting spin once again on the level 1 talent. Oftentimes on Vala, if you talk about level 16, it's Blood for Blood or Stone Skin that you see here. But with Tumble, you can actually now use those vaults even more. So this is getting a bit crazy. Because right now, thanks to the level 1 talent, you can get a lot of arrows out. You can actually get 3 arrows out right away in one of those scenarios. And that is, of course, incredible damage. If you go for the Siphoning Arrow in level 1, then you have to pay the entire mana cost. And that's oftentimes a bit of an issue. So you will will maybe be able to get your combo off once, and that's already about it. But with this particular setup, Lappy is going to be able to do a lot of damage with that arrow build, so we're going to have to wait and see how much he can actually do with this. Here's in the backdoor attempt already as an answer to that boss that we are seeing taken up at the top, and of course they have to move away. But that's a lot of damage output, and they force them back. Moving back right now, so job well done. But they are trying to fight. And ETF on top could go for the Sundering, and indeed he does. He wants the engagement. Jumps in on Stier, but there's Sonya. Nice more against Thrall, and down goes Greymane. He was been very much alone. Here comes ETC, and this is the end. This is definitely the end of it. That triple kill already. Epsilon Esports, they're taking everyone down here. They can go for Korn. If not for that, they could just simply go for another turn. And another reset for Sphinxy, thanks to the kill. Zipping around here. And this is, of course, GG. Epsilon Esports is going to take the game here on Blackheart's Bay against Team Meh in the round of 8 of the ZOTAC Cup Monthly Final. Well played by Epsilon Esports. A well-deserved victory. And they are going to move on to the semi-final best of 3 here at the ZOTAC Cup Monthly Final now. Congratulations, well played.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is GG and the end of another series here on Khaldor TV with Heroes of the Storm. So once again, we have another video finished, and I hope that you enjoyed the commentary and that you liked the game, of course, as well. It was a pleasure casting the match for you. And if you guys really enjoyed it, then make sure that you give that video a thumbs up on YouTube. And of course, if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, feel free to do that too. If you have friends that are interested in Heroes of the Sports esports scene, then definitely recommend the channel to them, or just show them the video if they want to see like a bit how the pros are drafting here, especially of course when it comes to the North American scene, European scene. And I mean, these days we even have a couple of Chinese games on the channel here, so I hope that you enjoy that as well. That being said, thank you very much for watching again. I'm going to see you guys next time with more Heroes of the Storm content here on the channel. Have a great day and enjoy your week, and see you soon. Bye bye.